Budget phones have come a long way, but how much can you really expect for just $200? Well, the Moto G 2025 promises premium design and stellar battery life, and it delivers, mostly. I'm Jason Howell, and I'm going to share with you my 5 big takeaways. Motorola sent me the Moto G 2025 for review. Please take a look at my ethics policy and note that Motorola has absolutely no influence over my coverage of this device. The Moto G 2025 is a budget phone that makes some smart sacrifices to hit its price point, but are those trade-offs worth it for you? Well, stick around as I'm going to break down the 5 most important things you need to know about this phone. Let's first cover the basics. The Moto G 2025 is priced at $200, and it features a 6.7-inch LCD HD Plus display with a 120Hz refresh rate. It's protected by Corning Gorilla Glass 3. Now, the device is powered by the MediaTek Dimensity 6300 chipset. It's built on a 6nm process and paired with 4 GB of RAM and either 64 gigs or 128 gigs of internal storage. That's actually expandable up to 1 TB via micro SD, which the card slot is here on the side. It runs Android 15 with minimal modifications and includes Motorola's signature gestures like the chop. Let's see if I can get it to work. There we go, the chop for flashlight activation. Now, the phone has a 50 megapixel primary camera on the back. That's an f/1.8 aperture and a 2 megapixel macro lens down below it with a 16 megapixel front-facing camera for selfies. Its 5,000 milliamp hour battery supports 30-watt wired charging. The build includes a vegan leather back, as you can see here. It also has a plastic frame with some metallic accents, a side-mounted fingerprint sensor right there, and stereo speakers with Dolby Atmos support. I gotta say, they're pretty loud too. Connectivity options include 5G, NFC, Bluetooth 5.3, USB-C down on the bottom, and then yes, you do get the 3.5mm headphone jack, also known as the Courage port. The Moto G 2025 is rated IP54 for dust and water resistance. It comes in forest gray, which is what you see here. Also sapphire blue, which I have the Moto G Power in that color, so you can see them side by side. Motorola promises 2 years of operating system updates and 3 years of security patches. So now that we've covered the essentials, let's break down the 5 key takeaways that I believe really define the Moto G 2025. One of the Moto G 2025's strongest points is its design. And at $200, you'd expect cheap plastic and uninspired aesthetics. But Motorola actually delivers much more here. The vegan leather back not only feels premium to the touch, it also actually prevents accidental slips due to its tacky quality. And the frame itself might actually be plastic, but it has this metallic paint finish that gives it an aluminum-like appearance that feels very solid in the hand. I was actually so convinced I had to reach out to Motorola and ask for the definitive word on whether this was actually metal or plastic. The signature slope back here leading to the camera bump adds sophistication that you don't often see in budget smartphones. Even small details like the embedded fingerprint sensor on the side, that works well. It's embedded into the power button, almost too well, in fact. It can sometimes accidentally unlock when you're just handling the phone. That said, the volume rocker right next to it does feel a little mushy. It lacks a certain tactile feedback. But aside from that, the Moto G 2025 definitely delivers on the design category, making it one of the most visually appealing phones in its class right now. The display on this phone is another standout feature for this price point. Now, it has a 6.7-inch LCD panel with a 120Hz refresh rate that reinforces that smooth scrolling and animations that we're getting used to. Not too long ago, 120Hz refresh was a perk that was saved for upper tiers. Now everyone's getting a piece of the action. And while the HD Plus resolution on this display might sound underwhelming, I actually found it to be sharp enough for my eyes during everyday tasks like browsing or streaming videos. Brightness levels are where this display falters slightly. It's been raining a lot where I live, and in overcast conditions or indoors, it does perform pretty good. But under direct sunlight, visibility becomes somewhat challenging. This isn't uncommon for budget devices, of course, but it is worth noting if outdoor usability matters to you. Now, despite that trade-off, having a higher refresh rate on the display at this price point makes the Moto G 2025 feel like a solid pick. Hey, real quick, are you liking this video? Are you subscribed to my channel? Well, there's one way you can get more videos by me that you like, and it's super easy. Subscribe. I have so much cool stuff like this in my pipeline, and I don't want you to miss it. Okay, thanks for watching. Let's get back to it. Performance is where budget constraints start to show on the Moto G 2025. The almost one-year-old MediaTek Dimensity 6300 chipset is capable enough for light to moderate use, but really struggles at times when paired with just 4 gigs of RAM. Multitasking often leads to stutters. Even unlocking the phone or launching apps can sometimes feel sluggish. Now, gaming performance was surprisingly decent. PUBG ran smoothly at pretty high settings, but these moments of fluidity are definitely inconsistent with its overall performance hiccups during daily tasks. Now, Motorola does include a clever workaround. The RAM boost feature lets you allocate up to 8 gigs of internal storage as virtual RAM, and enabling this did show some improvements in multitasking, but it definitely didn't eliminate lag completely. For basic users who prioritize affordability over speed, these trade-offs might be acceptable. But if consistent performance is non-negotiable for you, consider spending more on alternatives like Nothing's CMF Phone 1. Budget phones often struggle with cameras, and in the case of the Moto G 2025, that's at least a part of the story. Its primary 50 megapixel sensor can actually produce some pretty decent shots in ideal lighting conditions, but it fails when faced with challenging scenarios, and not all the time, but often, like high contrast or low light. I found dynamic range to be somewhat limited, so shadows would appear muddy as a result of that. And then there's shutter lag, which means you'll often miss some fast-moving objects before the picture is finally taken. In low light scenarios, night vision mode is helpful, but it definitely requires extra patience and steady hands to deliver usable results. The secondary 2 megapixel macro lens to me feels like an afterthought. Honestly, it feels more like a spec sheet inclusion to make the spec sheet look a little bit better than a truly usable lens. And that is definitely played out with the muddy quality of its output most of the time that I used it. Now, on the flip side, on the front, the 16 megapixel front facing camera performs pretty great for selfies, and even portrait shots looked pretty solid with some minor edge detection issues, which I'm happy to forgive, at least in this case. Ultimately, while this camera system isn't really built for photo connoisseurs, casual users might find it sufficient for social media posts or quick snapshots of their day. If there's one area where the Moto G 2025 truly excels, it's battery life. The quite large 5,000 milliamp hour battery drives all-day usage without breaking a sweat, no problem. Even 2 days with moderate use isn't really out of reach or that difficult to achieve. Charging speeds are also pretty impressive for this price range. My review unit actually included a 30-watt fast charging brick, which is faster than what my premium Pixel 9 Pro is capable of. And you can go from 0 to full in around an hour and 15 minutes, which is a rare convenience in budget devices. Now, this excellent battery performance is at least partially due to the now year-old processor and lower resolution display that you get on the device. So that battery efficiency does come with its own trade-offs. But for anyone tired of carrying around power banks or constantly hunting for outlets, the Moto G 2025 definitely delivers peace of mind on a budget. So there you have it, the Moto G 2025 offering premium design and excellent battery life while making some predictable sacrifices in performance and camera quality. At $200, it's not perfect, but if your priorities align with what it does well, maybe this is the right budget phone for you. Well, is it? Well, you can let me know in the comments below once you figure that out. And thank you so much for being here. We'll see you next time.